Hello, everyone. Um, my name is Rue, and we'll be learning about the grid, CSS Grid. So let's start. Okay, so I had already done a bit of some coding here, whereby I created a grid container and its items. So before going any further, I want to explain a bit about the grid. Well, a grid is a two-dimensional layout system that offers a more flexible and advanced method to design web content in rows and columns. So you guys, I'm sure you have done the basic CSS concepts such as the box model, selectors, properties and their values, also inline and block elements, how positioning works. And I believe you've also done flexbox. Yes. So these are really crucial. They help us understand grid faster and better. So when it comes to grid items, when it comes to the grid, there are two main components that we need to understand. And these two components are the grid container and the grid items. So this is the parent and these are the children. What the container consists of are the children. So when you want to initialize the grid, when you want the grid to come to life, you apply the display grid to the HTML element. So I had done some coding so that we do not waste much time. Let's go to style.css. Okay, let me just get rid of this. Save. Okay. So if we are to look at this, we have the div class container in our HTML. So we have the div class container in our HTML, which consists of 6 items. So if we look at this, without any grid layouts, right, this results in 6 divs stacked on top of each other. Okay, so I just need to comment out the CSS that we have so you can see what exactly I am. What is happening here? Please forgive me on that one. Okay. Let us look at it this way. Here we had written 100 pixels. And here we had also another 100 pixels. Save that. I just want us to go to our browser and see what we got. So this is what we have. Everything is still in order. So I wanted to comment out this. I guess I've just done that. Okay, so I've commented out the CSS. Let's save that. Let's go to our browser. Like I said, that if there is no CSS style CSS, if we don't add some flash to the markup, if we don't add any grid layouts, this results in 6 divs stacked on top of each other. So I'll just remove the commenting, and then you will see what happens again. So I'm just going to add some styling to that. Right, I'm just going to add some styling to that. I'll just remove the comments. And we'll go back to the same grid that we had. So this is, I just wanted to explain the point that without the grid layouts, we cannot get this. Okay, so I'm just going to explain my code. Okay, I'm just going to explain my code. So if you look here, I set this height to 100% of the viewport height, and then I enabled the flex box on the body for alignment so that the grid can go in the middle. And we also have justify content center right here to center the child horizontally, like exactly in the middle horizontally. Then we have align item center. We are centering the child vertically. So what I did was I displayed the grid to specify. Actually, I targeted I'll start from here. I targeted the container, the class container. If we look at our HTML, we have the div class container. This is our grid container. That's the one we targeted. And that's where we apply display grid. If we run this code with only display grid, right? Let me just comment this out. I just need to comment everything out. There. If we just if we run the code with display grid only, it will not do much. Nothing will show. It will not result in any layout change yet, because we have not yet defined how we want our grid to look like. So by default, we will have just one column, which is this one. Okay, we are going back to the card, and then we want to comment that one. We just need to remove the comment. Right. So to specify the columns, we have to give our grid grid template columns of 200 pixels and 200 pixels, and we also had to give the grid template rows of 100 pixels, 100 pixels, 100 pixels, and that is expected. We will have the 2 columns and the 3 rows from left to right. So if we are to go to our browser, right, I need to save this, guys. So before we go back to our browser, I just want to specify one thing, guys, that I had added some flash right here. I added color, the background color, so that you can see how the grid is going, so that the grid can be clear. You can see clearly what will be happening in the browser. And also display flags can be used simultaneously with the grid. So you can also use display flags. This was for alignment purposes. Justify content and align items. Same applies to the rest. Same applies to the rest, just the different background colors. Okay, so we are saying that to specify the columns, we have to give our grid template columns and template rows. Sorry about this. We have to give template columns and template rows, which is what we did right here. And if we are to save, we have just saved. So we'll go back to our browser, and this is what we get. We'll get exactly as expected. We have our 2 columns, 1, 2, and we have our 3 rows, 1, 2, 3. This is what we entered in our card, in our VS card. So there we go. We have our columns from top to bottom. We have 2, and then we also have our rows, 3 rows from left to right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there's another property. That I didn't tell you about, which is the grid gap. The grid gap here is 3 pixels. Yes. So when we are talking about the grid gap, we are talking about the spaces between these grid sections. Right there, the white space in between there. That is the grid gap. So that is the property that we can make use of when we want to really demarcate our grid sections. Okay, so let's say we don't want our grid to be having uh, let's say we don't want our grid to be having 2 columns, but instead we want it to have 3 columns, and we want our grid template rows to have 2 rows instead of 3. What we can simply do is just to add another column. I'll just give it 200 pixels, and then you just remove this 100 pixels, the third row. Let's save that and see. There we go. So this is what we have. We now have 3 columns and we have 2 rows. So from the top to the bottom, we have 1 column, 2, 3 columns. Then we also have 2 rows, 1, 2, which stretches from the left to the right. So that was easy. I believe so. So there are other ways of setting the values. There are other ways of setting these values right there inside the template columns and template rows. So let us talk about those ways. Let us talk about those ways. We have what we call the grid fraction units. The grid fraction units. So let's set all to 1 fraction. Let's set all to 1 fraction. Like this. There we go. Let's save this and see. Okay. There we go. So we have set these to 1 fraction, 1 fraction, 1 fraction. These are actually equal. So we are saying each column is taking up 1 fraction unit. As you can see, each column is taking up 1 fraction unit. So let's change to 2 fractions, the one in the middle. Change to 2 fractions, or rather 3. Let's save that. There we go. So we have 1 fraction. We are saying the middle one has taken up 2 fractions. We are saying the middle one is taken up 2 fraction units, while the first column, and the third one have taken up 1 fraction each. Okay, so that is another way of writing this. grid template rows. Okay, so this is another way of writing this. So we'll go to another way again. There's also a simpler way of writing the one fraction, one fraction, one fraction. So this is how it's done. We use the repeat function. We use the repeat function. We are saying 3 columns, okay, one fraction. So we are saying 3 columns of one fraction. So we are saying we've got 3 columns which are taking up a fraction, right? So it gives the exact same result. Let us go to the browser and check this out. Oh, we didn't save. Okay. There. This is it. So we are saying we have 3 columns of one fraction. Each is taking up just a fraction of the grid layout, taking up one fraction. This column is taking up one fraction, this one's taking up one fraction, this one's taking up one fraction. So we have 3 columns, right, taking up a fraction. So here we've got 3 columns. This one, the first number here, the first parameter actually of the repeat function gives the amount of rows or columns, and the second one, this one, gives the value. So we can do the same with our rows. We can say repeat. We can do the same with our rows. Let's say repeat. Two 100 pixels. There we go. Let's save this and see what's happening in our browser. There we go. So we are saying we literally have done the same with the rows, and we have used the same a different method. The one that we used for the columns is the same that we've used for the rows. So nothing really changes. Nothing really changes because it is just another way of writing something, but in a different. It's just another way of writing the same thing that we had. So here we are saying 2 rows, and then this 100 pixels is the value. Let us change this to 50. I just want to see something, how small it's going to become. Control save. It's going to be too small. So I'll leave it at 100 pixels. But you've seen another way of doing things, of declaring the grid template rows and grid template columns. So yes, another way, again, this is actually a shortcut of grid template rows and columns. So we are going to get rid of, let us just comment this out, we might need it. There we go. So there's another way of doing this. And you just write grid template. You don't need to write columns. So we're saying grid template. Repeat. Let's say let's change this. Just want to see if, so let's just say 2 50 pixels and what else? It's a slash again, repeat, 3 1 fraction. Let's try to save that and see, since I have changed those things. Something is missing. There we go. So I gotta save that. Okay, so what are we saying, guys? Sorry about that. What are we saying? So with this shortcut, we start with the rows. So these are the rows, right? These are the rows. These are the rows. Let's just put it back to 100. See what's happening. There we go, just slightly bigger. Okay, so we start with this shortcut, we start with the rows. So we're saying grid template. Grid template is representing the rows and column. No need to say grid template rows, grid template columns. So for this shortcut, it's grid template. Then you say repeat 2. We are talking about the 2 rows. And then 100 pixels. This is the value of the rows, how big they are. And then we go to repeat. Now we're talking about the columns. We have 3 columns, which are taking up 1 fraction. Okay. 1 grid fraction unit. So I hope you understand before we move on to the next. Okay. So we're just going to move on. I hope you guys understand, because I'm trying to move as slow as possible. Okay. So we are moving on to the next. We want to move on to the next properties. Let us just erase or just get rid of everything. Please, guys, I hope you're following. Let us remove everything. We just need to start afresh on this one. Okay. I'll save that. Okay, so here we will learn how to adjust the size and position of the items on the grid, which is very critical. It is critical to know in order to create real world websites. Okay, let's create a div. We already have a div here, and we are going to change this div class names, and we are going to say we'll give it a name of header, and here we'll give it a name of menu, and then the third one we'll give it a name of content, and the fourth and last we'll give it footer. Let's get rid of these ones. We don't need them anymore. There we go. So we're just gonna fix this. We're gonna add something here. We have the header. I'll write this in capital letters so that we don't get confused. We have the menu. We're writing the same thing. We also have the content. Right, guys, we have the footer there. There we go. Oh, I need to remove that. Okay, so here we have our grid container, and we need to remove this as well. Have I done the right thing? Let's see, there. Now we've got a clean markup. So this is what we have apparently. Let's just check out what's happening in the browser. So we haven't added any styling, and this is what we're going to do. This is what appears in the browser when you don't add styling. It's just one column, a stacked one, whereby everything is just going down as it is in our markup. So we're going to style it, and firstly we will target each of the items using the class name, right? That is what we're going to do. We are going to target each of the items using the class name. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to target the container first. We'll target the container. Open the curly brackets. So the first property will be display grid. Remember, nothing is going to show because we haven't declared anything. We haven't instructed the browser like what to apply in our grid. So we will have a gap of, let's say, what can we say? Let's have a gap of 3 pixels. Never, yeah. Then we will have what can we say here? We'll have grid template columns, grid template rows, grid template columns. Let's say it's 2, right, guys? It's 2, and 1 fraction. And we want to go on to the grid template rows. With grid template rows, let's put it at 40 pixels. Okay, and then we'll have the background colors. Let's just see how it looks for now. We just have display grid property, the grid gap, then we have the template columns and rows. We just want to see what we have in the browser. There's nothing much apparently. Okay, so let's go back to our index and see what's happening. Okay, guys, let's go back. Okay, so with our grid template rows, we set it at 4 pixels. Okay, so this is what I want to do. 40 pixels. I just want to add on a bit of code just to give flesh to our header menu and content and footer. So what do we have here? So we say we have 2 by 2 columns, each with the fraction of 1 unit. So we actually want to have 3 rows as we want the header. Okay, we actually want 2 rows and 2 columns. Sorry. So we're just going to try and style the header. We are targeting the class names. We have header, menu, content, and footer. Let's go to our CSS and see what will happen. Header. So we're just gonna add color to it. We're gonna add the background color and also the padding. Let's have aqua. Then you have padding. You're gonna apply the same padding for all of them. Our padding right here is 10 pixels. That's what we're gonna add on. Then we have what's next? The menu. Sorry guys. It's dot for class. Then we have the menu. We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to change the color, the background color. Let's put it brown. Then we have the padding. Our padding is 10 pixels. Just click there. Then we have the content. Background color. Let's say blue. And we have the padding. 10 pixels. Then we also have the footer. Background color. Let's give it. What's happening with my laptop? Let's give it blue violet. And the padding off. Sorry guys about the popping messages. We'll give it 10 pixels. Let's control and see what's going on in the browser. I don't know why the content and the footer. No, I know why. Guys, if there are things that we need to look at, we also need to look at this. Never forget how you write the classes in your CSS file. If you do not put these, then nothing will happen in your browser. So you need to just check for all this. If we save, go to our browser, this is what we will have. So we have the header, the menu, the content, and the footer. So this is what we are going to do. What we want, this is what we want. We want, what can I say? What can I say? What can I say? Okay, before all that, let's just bring some alignment here. We want this header, this text to go in the middle as well as the menu, content, and footer. That's what we want. So what are we supposed to do for alignment? We have the display flex. Like I said, it's very normal to use the grid and the flex simultaneously in the same project. So we're just going to use display flags, guys. Flags. Please forgive me. I don't know what's happening with my laptop. Okay, we have display flags. So we want to center it horizontally and we want to center it vertically. So we're just going to say justify content. We say center. Then we press enter. Then we go on to say align items center again. Let's save this, guys, and see what will happen. There we go. So we did this with the header. We can do the same with the menu and the content and the footer for all the sections. Right. So let's go back. Okay. We actually have these we actually have one column. We have one column like this. So what we need to do is, I don't know why we are having one column and yet we have displayed grid, we have the grid template columns. I don't know why it's like this. Let me just see, because you're supposed to have a 2x2. Sorry guys, we are supposed to place repeat here. These are the little things. That we must look out for. I was wondering why we didn't have the 2x2. Let's just see what the browser is giving us. There, guys. So now we have a 2x2 grid. So each with a fraction of 1 unit. So we actually want to have 3 rows, as we want the header to be at the top, to span from the left side all the way to the right side. And so we want the header to take the top row, then the menu and the content. We want them to be in the middle right there, and the footer we want it to be at the bottom and also span the whole width, all the columns, right up to the far right. So it's from left to right. So to do this, we're going to make use of some other grid properties, and please pay attention. Okay, so we're going to go back to our card and we want to create a third row in between the two existing rows. These two existing rows, we want to create the third row and give it a height of, let's say, 200 pixels. Right. Let's check out our browser. There we go. So we've added another row, and so now we've added another row. With a height of 200 pixels. So our third row is blank as we have not filled it yet with any content yet. Since our items only take up the first 4 grid cells only, so we need to change that. We need to change that. So to change that, we'll go back to our code. Right. And what we are going to do now is we start by targeting the header. We start by targeting the header. So we already have the header in our styles.css. So we want to expand from left to right, right? So from left all the way to the right side. So what we are going to do to achieve that, we are going to the header and give it a grid column start. Now we are talking about the other properties, grid column start. We are going to give it the value of 1, and we've got also grid column end. We'll give it the value of 3. Let's save that. So we want the header to start at the first column line and end at the third column line. So let's quickly go back to the browser as we have saved. There we go. So when we have 3 columns, you have 3 column lines. Guys, sorry, when you have 2 columns, please, I'm sorry about that. It's when you have 2 columns, then you have 3 column lines. How do we count the column lines? We start from here. This is column line 1, column line 2 in the middle. Then we have the end, the column line 3. So that is how we count our columns. So what we did was, this is our card. We say the grid column start, we targeted the header. Column start, this is the column start. This is 1, column line 1. This is the column start. Then we are saying grid column end. So like I said, like recently, that this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. And we wrote grid column end, and we put the value of 3, meaning it is number 3. This is line number 3. So whenever you have two columns, we have this column number 1 and then column number 2, know that we've got 3 column lines, 1, 2, and 3. Now let's go back to our code and just confirm that. So grid column start 1 for the header, guys, and then grid column and 3, right? So that is the reason why it spanned from the first column line to the last. So we are moving on, right? Alternatively, you can write it as 1, 3. You will get the exact same result. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. This is how we do it. Let's comment this out. Let's comment this out. You don't really want to get rid of it quickly. You might want to use the same information. Okay, so you can say grid column 1 slash slash 3. Okay, guys. Let's just go there to our browser. You will get the exact same result. This is it. It's the same result. So 1 is standing for, so this value 1 is for the first column line, span from one column line to column line number 3. Or this is how you can also write it. There are so many ways. You can write as 1 span 2. You also get the same result. Let me just explain that. When you say 1 span 2, you are saying from this first column line represented by 1, span 2 columns. This is column 1. This is column 2. We are not talking about the column lines here. When you're saying span 2, we are referring to the columns. This is 1 and this is 2. If there were 3 columns, you will also say span 3. If there are 4 columns, you just say span 4. So I hope you understand that one. So what we are saying, like I just explained, we are saying we can actually, you know what? Let us also give the same for the footer. Let us give the same. Let's do the same for the footer because we also wanted to span across 2 columns, right? So the first column line, we're just doing the same thing, guys. It's grid column. Then we have 1 slash span across 2 columns again. Then we save. Let's see what happens. You'll see that it's the same thing, guys. For the header, the same thing that we did for the header is the same that we did for the footer. Okay,